going to have a quick video slash rant about the Gibson Geforce or Tronical Robo tuning system. So basically, what I got in 2015 was this Gibson Les Paul 100th anniversary edition. Beautiful guitar.
Hated the headstock,
but also contains the Tronical Geforce Robo tuning system. And just to put things into context, obviously £2.5 guitar. Nitrocellulose. Anyway, £2.5 guitar. I very rarely play this guitar. Not because I don't love it, but because I don't want to get it damaged. And that's not because I don't play other guitars similar to this. I'll show you one in a minute. But being that I can't replace it, I could buy another Gibson Les Paul, but I can't get another 100th anniversary one new. So I tend to keep it as case. It's probably been used at rehearsals 10 times tops in the lifetime that I've had it. Other than that, it lives in its case. £2.5 guitar. So remind everybody of that. In comparison, £2 to £3.5 guitar. Prs Custom 24. This guitar is a 2014 one, so it's a year older than the Gibson. I gig with this on a regular basis, so I play in a classic rock covers band, and I also play it in an 8-piece blues, funk and soul function band, and this gets played in pubs, in clubs, weddings, birthdays, you name it. Never let me down once. Awesome piece of kit. Obviously they're over £3 now. I think I paid $2.6 for this back in 2014. So yeah, there you go. Yardstick. Back to this thing. So took it to rehearsal on Friday. Tunes up first time fine. Halfway through the songs, it's obviously strings are moving because it doesn't get played that often. Tries to tune it up again, and the A string doesn't go in tune. Doesn't go in tune again. So obviously there's manual tuners. I'll point out manual tuners. Obviously if these wasn't here, you think I'm not allowed to actually tune this manually. I'll just leave it to robots. But if you're going to put them on, expect people to turn them. You know, you're going to use them. It actually says in the manual as well, and I'm not stupid. It says you can manually use them, providing that the Geforce system isn't turned on. That's fair enough, and it wasn't at the time. So obviously you can manually tune them, and as you can, they're a bit clunky. You can hear the gears kind of jumping round. So occasionally, if you see that one's a bit stuck, there you go. You've got to move it kind of a little bit to get it going if you do it manually. So A string did exactly that. So gets hold of it. Gives it a bit of a wiggle, nothing, gives it a bit of a wiggle, and next thing you know, it starts turning really freely, but not tuning, and that happened. And as you can see, if you put that on there, it just turns and turns and turns and does absolutely sweet FA. So, email Tronical, obviously, it's fucking 2 years old instrument, not even that, and it's £2.5, and it hardly gets played. So this is not worn out, it's done bugger all, but yet that happened. So obviously quality issue. This, when you put a pair of pliers on it, is absolutely solid. You cannot move that whatsoever. So email Tronical, said, look, this has happened, do I need to replace the entire Geforce unit? Because at which point I've not taken that off because I didn't know how to take it apart. Turns out one of them, take the nut off, drops straight out the back, which is really nice. But you can buy them as individual things. One of them from Germany, with shipping, just under 30 quid. So I've emailed Tronical saying this has happened. They're like, oh, they're on our website, look on the Gibson bit. I'm like, well, the 2015 one, you've got nickel on there and you've got chrome as options. Excuse me, chicken tikka. Right. What do I buy? And they were just like, oh, just look on the website. Not, oh, well, your 2015 model came with this one, not that one. So I've gambled and gone with a nickel one. But yeah, Tronical's customer service. I mean, technically I'm contracted to Gibson, so I should moan at them. But either way, it's a bit shit. And I'm not. This isn't videos disputing whether you should have robo tuners or not. Because actually, when they're on and they work, it's brilliant. Yeah, press a button, tuned, done. And I know there's peers out there going, yeah, well, I've got Custom 24, I've got other guitars with manuals on, and I'm fine with that. This came with robos, and if it works, I'll be quite happy. But the fact is, it's costing me 30 quid for a new one of them. Tronical couldn't tell me whether that's chrome or nickel, and I'm colourblind, so I've gambled on chrome because it kind of looks right. Sorry, not chrome. I've gambled on nickel because the chrome ones look a bit too shiny, and I'm hoping it does match because I want a matching one. But yeah, so my experience of the Tronical stroke Geforce tuning system at the moment, after tuning it tops of 10 times at 10 different rehearsals, is utter shite. And on that note,
so 10 times that this guy has used the robot tuning system, supposedly. Who knows whether or not, you know, that's true or not. Doesn't really matter. You know, the reliability of these things suck. Just show you some of these threads on the subject. It's kind of a mixed bag when it comes to this stuff. This guy says I really like them. I've purchased them for my top 5 guitars. I'm always in tune, da-da-da. I'm lazy and I'm smart. This guy says, why do we hate these again? Or do we just prefer our Gibsons the way God intended them, out of tune and not able to be properly intonated? Yeah. And this guy says, because they were forced on us. I agree, it should have been an option. This guy says, what a colossal piece of shit this tuning system is. I put new strings on, stretch them out, and yet I'm still constantly having to tune this thing. This guy's saying, and this is one of my arguments, this guy's saying in 2004 I bought 2 Les Paul Standards for $1,640 each. They were flawless. Now they run south of 4K. Yeah. This guy says my E-Tune system on my 2014 SG has worked flawlessly, which surprised me. I still removed it since it looked ridiculously and it was gimmicky. Pulled it off and sold it. Bought a set of locking Grovers. See, I wish they had just gone with locking Grovers. You know, it's like upgrade the existing tuners. Let's stop using the Bakelite Keystone guys that no one really enjoys all that much. Let's replace those with Grovers and let's make them locking Grovers, you know. I'd rather stay in tune than have a system that tunes for me. Doesn't take that long to tune. My issue with them is they weren't very reliable, and the other problem that I've had with them over the years is that I can't get parts. And I got asked this question numerous times from guitar buddies and musicians alike. They always ask me, should I get, the E-Tune system, or the, now it's called the G-Tune. I can't recommend it. I just, or the Geforce, sorry, the Geforce system. I can't recommend it. It's been nothing but problems over the years. And of course now they're getting sued over it. And that's what the other thing I wanted to get into here. We got the Gibson reportedly facing $50 million lawsuit, and this is over the Tronical system, obviously. One of the reasons I think Gibson probably didn't pay out on this contract is that there were so many reliability issues with the product. And a lot of unsatisfied Gibson customers as a result of Tronical's poor customer service and lack of parts distribution. It just went on and on with problem after problem with this system. If you look up removing this system from your Gibson, for example, you'll find a million threads on people on how to change your guitar back to just standard tuners. So a lot of people ended up just ripping this out of their guitar. In my opinion too, it looks gimmicky. I agree with the other guy that it looks kind of, like a tumor growing on the back of your headstock, and it's just not very attractive. I feel like they could have done something else. The other problem that I've had with this system is stringing these, because it's like I had to get out the manual one time when I had a buddy ask me to string this fucking thing, and it's like you go into the menu and then you set up this other thing. I can't remember exactly how it worked, but it was a pain in my ass, and it made the whole process a lot more time consuming when it came to restring this guitar. So that was one of my biggest gripes of this system was, with the other one I can just cut those strings off, I can string it up, and you're ready to go. 10-15 minutes tops, even with a little intonation adjustment. This thing's, going to take me a lot longer to get out the manual, and it's this button to turn it this way, and this, it's a kind of a load of shit. And then you saw, of course, with the other guy where he's saying this part of the tuner head came away from the tuner, which is obviously a manufacturing defect. Would they just glue these little tuning heads on there, tuning keys on there to make it look real, or what? I don't know. It's just weird, man. Says Gibson has been using Tronical's auto-tuning technology under its Geforce sub-brand, which Gibson had begun to withdraw over the past few years after a response to the feature was not well received. It's funny to me that Tronical now is suing them for $50 million when, come on guys, your product sucked. It was a failure. It was not happily received by the community because it was unreliable. If it had been reliable and people gigged with it and it kept their guitars in tune, it would have been all good, but it wasn't. It was a piece of shit. It's another one of those products that are subcontracted out to China, and these guys, build their profit into, these units were probably $30, $20 a piece from China when they ordered them in bulk, and then they tell us they're $200. So there you go. Gibson took their slice of the pie, and Tronical took their slice of the pie. Except we got, what's screwed up about this product is we were the ones to beta test it for them. You know, it was another one of those products that they went, here you go, guys. Beta test our shit for us. We hope you enjoy. Well, it sucked. And I refused to get the system on any of mine. Let's go back here. Says, yesterday I got a new 2015 SG from Sam Ash at the price already discussed here. When I opened the box, it was nicely packed with a new case. I carefully read the Geforce instructions and then tuned, except that it didn't. The first strums after tuning sounded like I'd thrown the guitar down a flight of stairs. The high E string was so loose I could get my index finger under it, so I thought maybe I had to manually tune it until it was close. So I went to the Gibson site to find out how to manually tune it. Just turn off the power and it's in manual tune. So I turned it using two different tuners, A110, got it right on, played a few minutes with the new strings, began to go out of tune again, so I tried the Geforce and it went crazy again. It detuned every string, starting from a point where all the strings were really close. I did everything right as far as I know. The instructions are very simple. The battery is fine. What am I doing wrong? Another thing, blah blah blah. This guy goes, look, they suck, plain and simple. There's a reason they're being blown out at that price. I don't get why everyone's acting surprised. There's somebody who knows. And people get attacked for being honest, you know. Oh, you're a hater and blah blah. Just being honest, man. You know, there's good things and bad things. Just opened my Junior, turned on the unit, strummed all strings. The ones that didn't light up green I plugged individual. Good to go. These are new strings and they will come out of tune often. Keep tuning them for a few days. This guy's saying, oh, it's normal. It's not a new string problem. I do that all the time. With this thing, I just manually tune them again and tried the tuner again, and it appears to me that the tuner for the high E is trying to tune the string to the low E. It'll completely unwind the string. I can easily get the end of my index finger under the high E, all the way under the first fret. I actually bought the unit planning to replace the tuners with Clusons and also replace the black brass nut because I read all the components, blah, blah, blah. I think it might have something to do with the way the tuning knobs turn in the opposite directions, that something is fundamentally screwed up. The case did include a packing list from Gibson saying that everything had been tested and was perfect. This guy says, they don't suck. There is a way to bring the strings up to tension. Once you learn how to use it, it's a good product, as long as it proves to be durable. As long as it proves to be durable. Huh. I watched this video because it explains how quickly to bring a string in tension, blah, 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 blah. My Geforce tuners work great. They take a bit of time to learn, and new string gauges. New strings in general need stretching before tuning is stable. Both of these problems go away after a short period of time. If they do not for you, something is wrong. Worst case is you need to buy new tuners and still got what is to me a good deal for the cost of a new set of tuners included. Sad if they don't work for you, blah, 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 blah. He goes, rip that crap out and install some hip-shot locking tuners. Use the universal mounting plate and you won't even have to drill any holes. This guy goes, because he's replying to the guy who says, look, they suck. He goes, if you're lucky not to have this experience, you're in the minority. Next expect the shit nut to fail. Right. He says, oh, grumpy guy. Hey, you know, when you've had more than one of them or you've experienced customers bringing them back for that reason, you're going to start to develop an opinion, you know, something sucks. So you fully charged it, right? That's the other thing I don't like about, you know, I don't want to have to charge my guitar. It's another thing I have to worry about powering. Not fun. So you have these. Here's another thread on, removing the Geforce tuners. So I'm one of the anti-Geforce people, not because of the weight or anything, but it's the point of it. I can tune my own guitar, and I don't like how it looks on the headstock. It's a good argument. I don't like how it looks either. I think it's ugly. I did it within a few days of owning my SG Special. Just unscrew the bushings at the front of the headstock and the tuners come off easily. The one thing you'll have to do is carefully, of course, is drill pilot holes for the tuners you will be installing. In my case, I installed Gibson Deluxe Vintage tuners. This guy says, I actually like them, so they are making them the way the customer wants them. He goes, you are undoubtedly in the minority in this way of thinking. Rich light, robot tuners, weight relief, exorbitant price hike. Here's another one. Why did Gibson screw up the 2015 line? He goes, why'd they do this? Brass nut, Geforce tuning, that comic Les Paul Sands signature, which is the one that says LP100. It's really bad. No fret binding, the hologram, the awful case. I mean, to do this like the beginner range or separate range of guitars, not like the standards and the traditionals. How traditional is a Gibson with Geforce and Fender style hard case? He goes, it's not exactly traditional to have Geforce tuning and a brass nut. Brass is a bit jangly, and regular synthetic nuts or bone or whatever get a more traditional Les Paul type tone. You can always buy a used one. That's exactly what I did. I purchased an 06 standard. Geforce isn't the Antichrist, but it should be an option. That's what I said. It should have been an option, and it should have been a fairly pricey option, so that we could have kept the price of the other guitars low. And the idiots who wanted their auto-tune crap, they could pay for it. Offset the cost of the other stuff with that. But that's not the way Gibson works. Gibson's greedy. Here we go. Why I gave up my Gibson Geforce auto tuner. Here we go. Same problem. When I went to tune the things, twisting the knobs in the same way I've twisted knobs for the past 20 years, one of them came loose. After convincing Gibson to send me a replacement knob, I made the 30-minute pilgrimage to Oregon, Connecticut, an authorized retailer, Guitar Center, where I met an awesome tech named Ed. Diagnosis: my beloved anniversary guitar was equipped with a Geforce automatic tuner. Now, before I can get into the multiple trips to Guitar Center, hours spent reading on Gibson's owner manual, etc., I ended up making, I want to say that my husband is a very good man, blah, 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 blah. Neither of us had any idea that automatic tuners were a thing for 2015. Every single Gibson I've played up until this point in my life has possessed standard tuning knobs. She said, after Ed fixed the knob and explained how it worked, I gave the guitar a chance. I turned on the automatic tuner and strummed my guitar once or twice and let the knobs do their magic. So far, so good. But then one day, about a month later, the guitar tuned itself to some kind of obscurity. Suddenly, my A string and low E string were both registering E on my regular tuner. It sounded kind of cool, but I couldn't play any of my songs. So I did what any disgruntled guitarist would do. I called the manufacturer. Nice as the Nashville-based team was, however, they couldn't figure out how to help me tweak my instrument. They just told me to read the manual. Isn't that great? Days later, after leafing through the 29-page manual, I still couldn't make it work. And yes, I tried recalibrating and resetting and all of that. This sounds like fun, doesn't it, guys? Because guess what? It's not. Apparently, I'm not alone. Lots of videos featuring disgruntled Gibson guitar owners, just Google Gibson Geforce sucks, to see them, are filled with complaints about the auto-tuner's inability to magically tune guitar strings in a timely manner. Because of this, said Ed at Guitar Center, hundreds of Gibson owners have opted to have their 2015 Gibsons refurbished with basic locking tuners, or basic tuning keys, not knobs. Her English is incorrect. I joined the ranks of Gibson SG owners who asked for such minor guitar surgery last week after considering the pros and cons. Without Geforce, I wouldn't be able to easily switch between 10 different types of tuning during a set, which I would never do anyway. Also, the value of my guitar would decrease if I swapped the auto tuner for the regular old knobs. I don't think that diminishes the value of the guitar, that it's not completely original. For me, I'm not going to buy your guitar if it has the auto-tune system on it, because I know that's an extra cost in removing it. So if your guitar's already got that removed and it has tuner, it's going to be more attractive to somebody like me who doesn't want it. To somebody who wants it, yeah, but their numbers are, believe me, among professionals, their numbers aren't many. So she said the choice was easy. At the end of the day, I'm just a soccer mom who plays guitar and writes songs. And my time is precious as heck. Now I'm balancing kids, work, and marriage, blah, blah, blah. My new refurbished SG plays like a charm, and I couldn't be happier. This person says, I had initial problems with my mini tune on my Les Paul's B string on and off with standard drop settings, but I eventually learned to tune multiple times before being satisfied. I use 4 different tunings, and it's really convenient. However, I've added 2 more guitars since then, both of which are specifically 4-drop tuning, so I'm going to get the auto tuner replaced on my LP in the next few months. See, now she says, yeah, hi Scott, I think that because you use 4 different tunings, the mini tune makes a lot of sense. Personally, I can't be bothered with more than regular standard tuning plus the occasional drop D, so it was just a headache to have the auto tuner. Changing strings on a Robert guitar is awful. It takes about 5 times as long as a normal guitar because of the mechanism in them. And that was one of the first things that I said earlier. He says tuning is good, 9 out of 10. But then when the 1 out of 10 times it doesn't work, it's irritating and could be done by hand much faster. There you go. This guy says it's not so hard to change the strings. Getting the strings on is harder, but then you have an auto wind thing to get the thing strung and in the right tension. So if you do a lot of changing between tunings, then it's actually really useful. Otherwise, you don't need it. I kind of disagree. I think it takes longer to use the system. Anyway, that's the debate. Some people like them, some people don't. I don't like them. Post your comments. I won't remove them. And have a good Sunday, guys.